Finding Santa, a 2016 Danish animated holiday film directed by Jacob Ley. Jason, what did you think about Krampus 2, The Orphan, the Pig, and the Shoebox?
It all happened 8 years ago on a snowy Christmas Eve in Belhaven.
Did Santa bring me here?
Yes, that's right, my dear boy.
That's a Christmas box, right?
This is Herman. He's cool, right?
Someone took a bite out of him.
Yeah, that was me.
Santa isn't real, Alfred. Why don't you tell us the truth already? It's just you in a costume.
If Santa isn't real, I won't be able to ask him where I came from. What's going on?
Touch the lake, Julius.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. It's a miracle.
Hi, Herman.
Up you go.
You are the key to getting Christmas back.
Krampus hates Christmas.
Oh, he raised a spoon at me. I'm so scared.
Well, in my opinion, he's crazy.
You have to get Santa. Do it.
What?
I'm the only Santa here. Catch him!
Where are you?
I'm right here.
Well, how would you like it if someone took a bite out of you, Julius?
Look, I didn't mean it.
So, if I were a kid and this was on TV, I'd be cool with it. I have Danish relatives, and my son has a Danish name, so, like, I guess if I showed him this, and he'd be like, oh, so that's why our relatives are so weird. I don't know, like, it was kind of refreshing that it was sort of a little bit dark, because Krampus, like, as a rule, is pretty dark, so I don't know, man. Do you want to see your kid to see a movie about Krampus? Because I kind of don't care. I thought the animation was good enough, and I thought the story was just, you know, just good enough. So, whatever. I wouldn't have turned it off. If I were at a relative's house and this was just like on the Hallmark Channel and it's Christmas and I'm stapled to the couch because my Danish relatives get me drunk, I would happily watch all of this movie.
Sure. Yeah, the animation felt kind of like James and the Giant Peach. I kept getting that kind of vibe from it. But it really did feel like an updated Rankin Bass film. So if you grew up watching, you know, Frosty the Snowman or Rudolph or Jack Frost, Little Drummer Boy, I mean, this was that.
Was that one with Heat Miser, The Year Without Santa Claus or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was better than that. So
And it didn't want to give you nightmares. Like, try popping on Little Drummer Boy now. Like, it made my 7 and 6-year-old cry. And I was just like, okay, I got to turn this off. So it's like an updated, you know, for this generation. But it was, I would say, kind of a tonal mess. But we'll get to that. Another thing that kind of threw me off was just, you know, we were watching the American dub version, so the vocal track was off. So I'm like, oh man, are they just not animated it well? But then I'm like, oh, I'm stupid. I'm American. This isn't for me.
Yeah.
Did Santa bring me here?
Yes, that's right, my dear boy.
yeah. That's such a like Western-centric view. It's like, hang on, you made your movie wrong.
Right.
Can't you just have it in English and then dub it in Danish? Come on.
Reanimate it for me, damn it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was the least they could do is redo the whole movie to make the vocal tracks line up. You stop noticing that after 5 minutes, just like with anything else. And
Sure.
Most of the places you get this, you won't have subtitles. You'll be able to get a dub version of it, which is what we saw. So thumbs up for that. I don't want to read subtitles in my Christmas movie. I want it on the background while I'm trying to put the stupid color-coded fake Christmas tree together.
Yeah. So what is A Christmas Story or Finding Santa or whatever they are calling this these days about? Well, it's about an orphan boy named Julius. He's pure-hearted, true believer in Christmas and Santa. He's ridiculed by other jealous orphan boys. He makes original holiday characters out of mascarpone cheese, as you do.
What orphanage isn't just like giving expensive cheese to children to just play with? Every orphanage I've been to, they're like, oh, you build a giant monster out of Gruyere? Good thinking.
That little pig would cost me $50 in the States. What are you doing?
Right?
Yeah.
Pure marzipan. He's touching it without washing his hands first.
Some fantastical elements as well. Kind of borrows from a couple different fantasy elements, like Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, but instead it's like a little diorama in a shoebox where he touches, and then he gets transported into his imagination, and then he has to, make people believe in Santas and stuff to save Christmas. As I said, I feel like this was a little bit of a tonal mess, because for the most part it did feel like a straightforward Christmas story, but then it just really subtly inserts some weird stuff in there.
If your culture has Krampus like at all, because in the West it's sort of like, ooh, Santa might bring you coal. Not really, but maybe. And then it's like, no, he whips wicked children with a cane until they bleed, and they scream and cry and wake up their relatives on Christmas morning. It's like, God damn, all right. Cool.
Has some heady stuff to it, and it's all veiled in smiles and stuff, but but it never goes so far to be like, okay, you are going the dark route. But it went far enough, and I think that, explaining, I'm not going to worry so much about spoilers. It's a Christmas story. It's a feel-good Christmas story. Just the boy makes toys out of cheese, I think is pretty WTF.
With his bare hands, just with his grubby little orphan fingers.
Yeah.
Just wasting food. But don't worry. It's not entirely wasted, because he tries to eat the mascarpone Krampus a little later.
He's cool, right?
Someone took a bite out of him.
Yeah.
That was me.
The old man calls Julius his special Christmas present.
Which you can't say to a little boy. I didn't like how the other orphan boys locked Julius in the shed, presumably to kill him.
Right.
Because they didn't like that the old man had such special affection for a boy he found outside, versus coming to him through other means. I don't really know, but like he had a little bit of affection for Julius, and the other kids are like, well, we clearly have to murder him.
Because, I mean, that is the answer, right? You just don't, there's no talking. It's just straight on. I mean, this kid was Draco Malfoy during the entire time, and I'm just like, oh God. But yeah, just in another WTF moment is just the fact that there's Krampus in a kid's Christmas film. I have to give it credit for originality.
Yeah, and they didn't shy away from the Krampus story at all. They're like, does he make children into slaves? Yes, he does.
Yeah, and he even presumably kills Santa by throwing him in a present wrapping equivalent of a wood chipper. That's when I had to like pause it for a second. I'm just like,
yeah, it got a little bit Fargo. Like, I guess that's Kris Kringle into wood chipper over there.
Don't tell Marge.
Julius is clearly a millennial because he tries to eat the pig's ass. So there's a character called the Marzipan Pig, which is a pig made out of marzipan. And I don't know if it tastes like pork or ham or bacon or just marzipan, but Julius is a starving little orphan boy, so he takes a giant bite out of the pig's ass, and then the pig just walks around like he's a 1990s confection. You remember those muffins you would buy that had the bite out of them? That was the Marzipan Pig's ass, the whole movie.
Yeah.
Until he's like, I know, I'll save Christmas by making you a new ass.
Literally just out of nowhere starts grabbing the pig's ass and molds him a new... It's just like those type of choices. I was just like, wait a minute. So are you fucking with me? Like, what am I watching? Yeah. And then,
Danish culture, you know.
Sure. They put
xenophobe.
They put a little bit of alcohol in their seltzer at IKEA. So that sums up this movie. It's just got that little bit of a weird mean streak in it.
They drink caraway schnapps. And then they don't tell people what it is. And they're like, oh, have some schnapps with us. And you're like, oh, I like schnapps. Because you had like apple schnapps. And you're like, oh, schnapps is probably fine. And then it tastes like rye bread and rubbing alcohol. And you're like, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever tasted. And then they all laugh at you. And that's their sense of humor. It's cold in Denmark. And like their version of Santa Claus makes children into slaves. So I think to stave off the bitter cold is making somebody drink terrible alcohol and laughing at them.
Talking about horrible little things, like the elves are just horrible in this. Where Krampus, like blessedly at one point, picks one up and throws him in the wood chipper, but then he finds this little secret compartment and lives. So that was a bummer. But yeah, the elves are just a bunch of dicks.
Yep. that's this movie. It's a bummer that an elf wasn't murdered in this children's movie.
But don't worry, because we find out that, you know, Santa has just been freeloading in a giant broken ornament, and he's complacent with Krampus taking over Christmas from him. As long as he gets food catered to him from Krampus, he's so happy, in fact, that he winds up shoving Krampus into that wood chipper, and that's it. I mean, there was no misdirect or anything. You get to see a vivisection in a children's movie. So, and an orphan boy choose suicide over taking a hand from his
one
his
of the
rival.
other orphans. Yeah, it wasn't like in the West we're like, oh, no one likes Rudolph because he's a little bit different, but all of a sudden he proved that he's got worth, and now everyone accepts him. And this is like, I've always hated you, as he drowns.
Right.
And Julius is like, I'll save you. He's like, no, I got to commit to this character of not liking you to the point where I will haunt your nightmares forever when you remember how I wouldn't take your hand and I drowned right in front of you. That's this movie.
This is a very strange package. Who would I recommend this for? I don't know. Fans of alt animation, I guess. Rankin Bass fans. But all in all, I feel like it was too dark and too slow for kids, and not creepy or brutal enough for adults.
Like, yeah, an adult wants the Babadook or something like that, and kids kind of want, you know, Frosty the Snowman. And this was like the worst of both worlds, I would say. Yeah,
or Krampus, right? Like that's fun holiday slasher.
Yeah, if you're gonna watch Krampus,
right? Yeah, don't watch not Mark Hamill. You know, slap around elves and orphan boys.
I'm right here.
So I would say maybe skip this one unless you're really into Christmas movies.
Yeah, if you're really into this is better than anything on the Hallmark Channel, by the way. So as much as I didn't like it, it's better than every Hallmark Christmas movie.
That's a low bar.
Yeah, I get that, but it's like dog walker goes back to her small town and runs into the veterinarian, and then they like Christmas now that they're together. It's called Christmas Dog. The Christmas Dog story. That's this is better than all that.
Sure.
Not great, but still, like, if you got to watch something. I would rather watch this than watch Frosty the Snowman 100th time or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So,
yeah.
There you go.
Well, am I being a bah humbug? Why don't you tell me in the comment section? Go over and try this one out for yourself. Is it not creepy enough? Is it too dark and creepy you don't want to show your kids? Let us know in the comments. Hit that thumbs up button, or don't, because you think that we review weird stuff, and you might be right on this particular episode. But if you want to talk more about films with me, you can do so on Twitter at OrzovDunn, or you could follow us on our main Twitter handle, film_hooligans. And Jason E. Alt, where can everyone find you?
Jason E. Alt.
Hey.
On the Twitter.
Perfect. Happy holidays, and I'm going to go make some toys out of mascarpone.